My name is Luke Smith. Welcome to Ad Spend Secrets. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about agency communication. If you've ever worked with an agency or you're looking to work with an agency, I'm going to talk about how we communicate with clients and how I feel that clients should be communicated with, how both stakeholders can work together so it really feels like they're part of a cohesive unit that's moving forward to grow the brand. So something that comes up a lot with calls that I have with kids and parenting e-commerce brands specifically, and I speak to around 6 to 8 brands a week at the moment, is I'm working with an agency and I'm not sure if they're doing a good job. Now, from my perspective, it kind of seems initially like they're just looking, the brand owner, the director is just looking for a bit of trust and confidence, I suppose, that the stakeholder, the agency, the freelancer that they're working with has their best interests at heart and is doing a good job, is doing all that they can do. But what it actually falls back to in a lot of cases is communication. So when we jump in and do an audit, and we do this for free, and if you'd like one, you're welcome to reach out at simplyconverting.com/call. But when we jump into an account and we do an audit, we often see that the agency that they're with is actually doing a pretty good job. And we're pretty transparent when we come back on a call and we say, look, you should probably stick with these guys. Just ask them to, include these metrics in a report or come back to you on these specifics and give it a bit more time because it looks like you're in a testing phase. And that does happen quite a bit. But the communication is often the piece that's dropped off. And so the brand owner, the Shopify store, the client is there feeling like maybe nothing's being done. And the agency on the other side, they might be, running in circles, so busy out of their mind, working on these campaigns and creative and copy. They might be working overtime every single day to get these campaigns in line, but they're not communicating that to the client. And so what happens is the client then thinks nothing's happening because they can't see it, feel it, experience it in the numbers, potentially, at least in the short term in Shopify. And the agency is thinking, geez, we're doing a good job, because we're so busy. And so there's just that disconnect in communication. And so what we like to do with clients, and I feel like the way agencies should communicate with clients, is have just a regular pulse with the brand owner, so that the same day every week, they know to expect the notes and they reliably come in and they share, what has been done over the last week, what we're seeing as a result, of those changes. Has there been any positive impact or negative impact? And then what we're going to do next after seeing those changes and the results that, came from them. So you just get that weekly touch point, that weekly pulse. We call them weekly top line notes, and they come in every day. And that day is, consistent from onboarding onwards. And in those notes is also a live document that has all of the numbers. So the context is there, what we've done, what we've seen, what we're working on next. And then if the client wants specifics and numbers and week-on-week data, then they can just click on the link, change any date range they like. The numbers will show up. It's got store level metrics, so your blended ROAS, your MER ratios, your cost per acquisition, and then pages 2 and 3 might be platform specific. So Google metrics, and then Facebook metrics. And then outside of those weekly notes, because there might be a little bit happening, here and there every week, what we do personally is jump on a monthly call. And I know that's common with clients and agencies. Typically the Zoom calls are, once a month or so. And so then we're kind of tying together all of those previous 4 or 5 weeks of that month and looking at the month as a whole, and then looking at the month ahead. And then on these calls, you can also map out, the next quarter or the next 6 months even, and start to plan out periods like your Black Friday, your Boxing Day, your Christmas, all that kind of stuff. So that's when, you put your heads together as a team and say, what's coming up? What's the promotional calendar look like? What Klaviyo campaigns are getting scheduled out so that you can make sure that the messaging in emails is congruent to the messaging in Meta and Google, for example. And so that's kind of the cadence of communication that we find helpful. And then in between is your regular emails back and forth. Hey, we've got a new product range we're about to drop. Can we get an ad created for this? All that kind of stuff would happen in between those weekly notes. And so I feel like that's where agency and brand owner start to butt heads, is when it's missing that sort of constant thread of communication. And from our perspective, it's okay if we don't get a reply to the weekly notes, but we know that if we send them, the client knows, what's been happening, what we're working on next. And it just gives them that confidence and that trust that, we are moving in the right direction. And they don't have to always be positive too. Sometimes a test will fail. But I think from an agency's perspective, whether it's our team or any other freelancer or agency, I feel like there has to be that transparency that says, we tried this test and it didn't work, so we're going to pivot. We did this recently with a client where they've actually got a higher price product in the kids space. And so we were running our shopping ads that were crushing it for a bunch of other kids brands, our meta ads, the systems that we would typically deploy, right? And because we've tried them over and over and they've worked over and over, it would make sense to deploy them. But for this particular brand, it didn't work. So now we've gone back and we've pivoted and we let the client know, hey, this isn't working. We're not going to keep pushing down this path because we've hit a bit of a barrier. So let's pivot and we'll go after leads on the front end, and then we'll nurture through Klaviyo, through email and through retargeting, because they're going to need that education piece, that nurture, maybe additional frequency of ads, and just cover off more of those objections because it's a $400 plus item as opposed to a $39.99 toy. Changing strategy, all of this kind of stuff, whether it's good or bad, I think it's just about keeping that thread open. And so I hope that was helpful. If you've got an agency that might be doing a really great job, but you're just unsure, you're just looking for that trust or that confidence. If you don't have an agency and you're looking for somebody to chat to about potentially working together, if you're investing in paid advertising already on Google or Meta, one or the other or both, or if you need help setting up Klaviyo flows or campaigns, just get in touch at simplyconverting.com/call and just answer a few short questions on that survey. You'll be redirected to a calendar. You can book in a call and you'll chat with me directly. Thanks.